This is the Podcast Lab. Subscribe now and never miss an episode.
For another deep dive. And this time we're tackling something I think a lot of us struggle with from time to time. Motivation.
Yeah, motivation.
It's a big one, right?
Yeah.
And, judging by the stack of sources you've all sent in,
Oh, yeah?
this is clearly a topic you guys are really interested in. So we've got articles, we've got videos, even a little snippet from a podcast script.
Wow, somebody's really trying to unlock that inner drive.
They are, and we're here to help with that. So,
And what a mix. We've got expert opinions, we've got personal stories about resilience, and even a little bit of wisdom from a spiritual guru. It's going to be fascinating.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to help you guys understand, what really fuels motivation and how you can tap into that power even when, life gets tough.
Because it does get tough.
It does.
And that's when motivation is really tested.
Exactly.
And we often talk about motivation as this kind of mysterious force, but it's actually rooted in some pretty well understood psychological principles.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about extrinsic motivation, which is driven by those external rewards.
Right, like the paycheck.
Exactly, the paycheck. And then intrinsic motivation, which is all about that internal satisfaction, the passion, the purpose.
That's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff. But, research actually shows that that true lasting motivation often stems from a sense of purpose and meaning.
It's the why.
It is the why.
Okay.
So that's the question we're going to be exploring today. What really drives you?
What really drives you?
Let's find out.
Let's find out. And, one thing that always strikes me is how easily a motivation can fade.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, when life throws those inevitable curveballs our way.
It's so true. And there's actually a pretty natural reason for that.
Yeah.
When we experience stress, when uncertainty hits our brains, they kind of shift into this survival mode.
Yeah.
It's like our brains are saying, hold on a second, we got to focus on getting through this day before we worry about that big dream you had.
Makes sense.
Prioritizing the immediate needs over the long-term goals.
It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You've got to take care of the bottom.
Exactly. Got to make sure you're safe and secure before you can start reaching for the stars.
Exactly. And it reminds me of this thing called the crucible. It's this grueling test that Marines go through.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
And one of the articles talks about how, even in those super intense conditions where they're pushed to their absolute limit, connecting to that deeper why, connecting to their purpose, that's what helped them endure.
It's so powerful how even in survival mode, that sense of purpose can make all the difference.
It's amazing. And I'm curious for our listeners out there, thinking back on your own life, when have you felt that dip in motivation?
Yeah.
What was happening and how did you pull through? We'd love to hear your stories because sometimes, seeing how others have navigated those tough times, it can be so inspiring.
Oh, absolutely.
And speaking of inspiration, there were a couple of stories from the 41 Tips article that really stuck with me.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So there's one about this woman, Michelle, who lost her job during a financial crisis, a tough time, right?
Yeah.
But instead of despairing, what she did, she took a free online course in graphic design.
So she kind of took control of the situation.
She did. She took control. She'd always been passionate about design, but had never pursued it professionally.
Wow.
And get this. Within 2 years, she turned her side projects into a full-fledged business.
That's incredible.
I know. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade.
It really highlights how, even small steps focused on what we can control can lead to amazing things.
It's so true. And then there's another story about this guy named David who was battling depression after a divorce.
Oh, wow.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So he started with this tiny goal, just running for 10 minutes each morning. That's it. Just 10 minutes.
Not measurable.
Right. But that 10 minutes eventually turned into hours of training.
Wow.
And he ended up completing a marathon.
That's incredible.
I know, right? And he credits running with helping him overcome his depression and find a renewed sense of purpose.
It's so interesting how those small actions can build so much momentum.
It is, and it's inspiring, right? Both Michelle and David's stories show us that even in the face of adversity, focusing on what we can control can lead to these amazing transformations.
It's a powerful reminder for sure.
So, we've talked about, why motivation fades, those kind of personal stories of resilience.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about some practical tactics for boosting motivation because we have a bunch of sources here with all kinds of tips,
Yeah.
which proves that there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Definitely not.
Uh-huh.
But there are some common threads that run through these different perspectives.
There are, and it's worth noting, these tips are drawn from various sources, so we encourage you to experiment and see what resonates with you.
Absolutely. Find what works for you.
Okay, so let's unpack some of those key takeaways. Both the 41 Ticks article and the Health Direct article, they emphasize this idea of setting smart goals.
Yes. Smart goals.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Love it. It's so easy to fall into the trap of vague goals like be healthier or be more successful. But without concrete steps, it's hard to make progress.
It's true. A SMART goal would be something like, I will walk for 30 minutes 3 times a week for the next month.
Yes, exactly. Much clearer, right?
Much clearer. And another recurring theme is breaking down those large goals into smaller, more manageable tasks.
Absolutely. Because it can feel so overwhelming otherwise.
It can. It's much less intimidating to tackle a small step than to stare down this Mount Everest of a goal.
Exactly. And each small win, it gives you that little boost of motivation to keep going.
It's like those little dopamine hits.
Yes, exactly. The brain loves those.
And don't underestimate the power of positive self-talk.
Oh, so important. We all have that inner critic, that voice that tells us we can't do it or we're not good enough.
We do. We all do.
But consciously choosing more encouraging language can make a huge difference.
It's about changing the script. It is. Instead of saying, I can't try, saying, I can try, or even better, I will.
I love that. And we often forget how much our self-talk influences our motivation.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's like this constant feedback loop that's running in the background.
And then finally, remember the importance of support systems.
Oh, yes. Community is everything.
We're not meant to go through this alone.
We're not.
Having people who believe in us, who can, celebrate those wins with us, it makes a world of difference.
It really does. Because success is sweeter when shared, right?
It is so true. One of my favorite tips from the 41 Tips article is this idea of keeping a done list.
A done list.
A done list.
Instead of a to-do list.
Yeah, so instead of focusing on what's left to do, you make a list of everything you've already accomplished.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that cool?
That's like a celebration of your progress.
It is. It's a way to shift your perspective and see how far you've come, because it's so easy to get caught up in what's still pending and lose sight of all the amazing things you've already done.
That's so true. We can be so hard on ourselves.
We can. It's a game changer. I highly recommend it. So we've talked about some practical tips, strategies for boosting motivation.
Yeah.
Now let's explore a more unconventional perspective.
Ooh, I love unconventional.
I know, right? Let's talk about Sadhguru.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
The spiritual guru.
His approach is less about, specific tips and tricks and more about understanding the human condition.
Okay.
He's looking at the root cause of our struggles, not just the symptoms.
I'm intrigued. What kind of insights does he offer?
Well, in the transcript of his YouTube video, he says something that really made me think. He suggests that we often suffer not from life itself, but from our own thoughts and emotions.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
It is, right. Specifically our memory and our imagination.
Interesting. So it's not about blaming external circumstances or other people for our unhappiness.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing the role our own minds play.
Exactly. And that realization can be both empowering and daunting.
It can, because it means we have the power to change our minds.
We do.
But it also means we have to do the work.
We do. And Sadhguru often uses humor to illustrate his points. And I remember this joke he tells about this guy in Paris who was sent to the beach to gather snails.
Rails.
Snails for a special anniversary dinner.
Okay. Sounds good.
I know, right? The snail joke. It's a classic.
I need to hear this.
Okay, so picture this. There's this guy named Shankaran Pillai. He's in Paris. He's married to a French woman.
Okay.
It's their first anniversary. And she's cooking this fancy meal for all their friends.
Fancy French food.
Exactly. And she asks him to gather some fresh snails for an appetizer. So he goes to the beach, starts collecting these snails, but then he runs into an old friend. I know, right? This is where it gets good.
Okay, I'm hooked.
So they start reminiscing, they go to a bar, they have a few drinks.
Snails.
I know, and he completely forgets about the snails. By the time he remembers, it's late and the snails are escaping from the bucket.
Oh, no.
So what does he do? He dumps the snails on the ground near his house, throws away the bucket, and knocks on the door yelling, "Come on, you guys, we're almost there."
He's telling that to the snails.
He's telling that to the snails.
That's hilarious.
I know, right? And it perfectly illustrates Sadhguru's point.
Which is?
That we create our own obstacles.
Oh, I see.
We procrastinate, we get distracted, we make things harder on ourselves than they need to be.
We're all guilty of that.
But Sadhguru's message reminds us that we have the power to choose differently, to pick up our snails, so to speak.
And get them where they need to go.
Exactly. But sometimes life throws us curveballs that make even picking up those snails feel impossible.
You're right. The typical advice you know about setting goals and staying positive, it can feel insufficient when you're facing really difficult circumstances.
It can, and that's where the raw emotional tone of those two YouTube videos, When Life Breaks You and When It Hurts, they really hit home.
Okay, I'm curious. What struck you about those?
Well, both videos acknowledge the pain and struggle that are part of the human experience.
Yeah.
You know, they don't sugarcoat it. They meet us in those moments of heartbreak and despair and then offer a message of hope and resilience.
It sounds like they provide a sense of validation and comfort.
They do, reminding us that we're not alone in our struggles. And one of the core messages I got from these videos is the importance of self-love and acceptance, even amidst hardship.
Self-love. Even when things are tough.
Even when things are tough. It's easy to beat ourselves up when we're struggling.
It is. We're often our own worst critics.
We are. But these videos remind us that we're worthy of love and compassion, especially when we're hurting.
That's so important to remember.
It is. Self-love is like that inner voice that says, you know, I'm here for you even when you feel like giving up.
What a beautiful way to put it.
And both videos also emphasize this idea of finding a reason to keep going, even when it feels impossible.
Even when it feels impossible.
Even when it feels impossible. Sometimes that reason is as simple as wanting to see the sunrise tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Or wanting to be there for loved ones. Or maybe it's about making a difference in the world no matter how small. Whatever that reason is, it's what fuels us to keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. It's that inner spark that keeps the fire burning.
I love that. And one of the most powerful takeaways for me was this idea of reframing breaking points as opportunities for growth and resilience.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right.
But it's more than just a cliche. It's about recognizing that even the most difficult experiences can teach us valuable lessons and make us more resilient in the long run.
It's about finding the meaning in the struggle.
Exactly. There's a line from the When It Hurts video that really stuck with me. It says, make sure every breath you take counts for something.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is, right. It's a call to action to make the most of this precious life we've been given, even when it's hard.
To find meaning and purpose in every moment.
Exactly, no matter what we're going through. And, you know, speaking of finding meaning and purpose,
yes.
Let's shift gears and talk about David Goggins.
Yes. The ultra athlete, known for pushing his limits to the extreme.
The one and only. And his clip, the most eye-opening 10 minutes, is all about the power of the mind.
The mind as a weapon.
The mind as a weapon. He believes that our minds are our most powerful tools, but we need to train them for resilience, just like we train our bodies.
Makes sense. If we don't train our minds, they can easily become our biggest obstacles.
They can. And one of the most memorable examples he shares is his experience of enduring Navy SEAL training despite multiple injuries.
Oh,
I know. He talks about this concept of the new normal, which is about embracing discomfort and pushing past our perceived limits.
It's not about avoiding pain or discomfort.
No, it's about recognizing that those feelings are temporary and that we're capable of so much more than we think.
And by embracing those challenges, we can become stronger and more resilient.
Exactly. And Goggins is living proof of that. He takes it to an extreme.
He does.
But his message is still relevant to all of us, even if we're not training to be Navy SEALs.
Right.
We all face challenges that require mental toughness and resilience.
Absolutely. And his approach is a reminder that we have the power to choose how we respond to those challenges, to embrace the discomfort, push through to the other side, and find a sense of accomplishment and strength in the process.
And, you know, as we're talking about all of this, I'm starting to see some common threads between all these different perspectives on motivation.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
It seems like no matter what approach we take, whether it's setting smart goals, embracing self-love, or training our minds like David Goggins, it all comes back to building resilience.
Resilience, that's the key.
It is. It's the key that unlocks our ability to stay motivated and keep moving forward even when life gets tough. It's the foundation upon which we build our dreams and achieve our goals.
And it's something that can be cultivated and strengthened over time.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
A journey we're all on together.
And it's a journey worth taking, even with all its twists and turns.
Because on the other side of those challenges lies a deeper sense of self-awareness, strength, and purpose.
And that's what makes it all worthwhile.
It really does. And it's a reminder that even in the midst of hardship, there's always hope.
Always a reason to keep going.
Always a chance to emerge from the darkness stronger than before.
That's a powerful message to carry with us no matter what challenges we're facing.
It is. And it's a message that resonates throughout all of these sources, even with their diverse perspectives. Ultimately, they're all pointing us towards the same truth.
And what truth is that?
That we have the power within us to overcome any obstacle, to achieve any goal, and to live a life that is truly meaningful and fulfilling.
That's a truth worth holding on to.
It is, and it's a truth that can set us free.
Free from the limitations we place on ourselves. Free from the fear that holds us back.
Free to live a life that is authentic, purposeful, and aligned with our deepest values.
And that's what motivation is all about, isn't it?
It is. It's the driving force that propels us toward our dreams.
And it's something we can cultivate and nurture within ourselves every single day.
As we continue to explore these sources, I'm curious to see what other insights emerge.
Me too. And I'm excited to see how these different perspectives can help us all find our own unique paths to motivation and resilience.
Because it's a journey we're all on together.
And it's a journey worth taking.
Absolutely. So let's keep exploring.
And keep those fires burning bright. We'll be right back with even more on motivation and resilience. You know, as we've been going through all these different sources on motivation, I've noticed this recurring theme that keeps popping up.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Well, it's this idea that motivation isn't just this one-dimensional thing.
Right.
You know, it's not like a light switch that you just turn on or off.
Right. It's way more complex than that.
Exactly. It's multifaceted. And one of the articles that really digs into this is the Better Up article.
Oh, yeah. What do they have to say?
Well, they make this really important point that both extrinsic and intrinsic motivators play a role.
Right. We touched on that a bit earlier, the external rewards versus the internal drive.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that they both serve a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Those extrinsic motivators like getting a paycheck or a bonus, those help us meet our basic needs.
Right. It keeps the lights on.
Exactly. Keeps the roof over our heads. But it's that intrinsic motivation, the passion, the purpose that really fuels our long-term growth and fulfillment.
It's what gets us out of bed in the morning.
Exactly. It's that fire in our belly. So it's about finding that balance between the two.
Finding that sweet spot.
Exactly. Recognizing the value of each and how they work together in our lives.
And I imagine that balance looks different for everyone depending on their goals and circumstances.
Absolutely. It's all about finding what works for you. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to motivation.
That's so true. Now, one thing that really jumped out at me from the Zen Habits article was this idea that we need to actively create space for change.
Ah, yes. They're make it happen actions.
Mm.
I love that phrase. It's a great reminder that change rarely happens passively.
We have to be intentional about it.
We do. It's about taking ownership of our lives and our choices and prioritizing what truly matters.
Which, let's be honest, can be a real challenge in our busy, overscheduled lives.
It can. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day whirlwind and lose sight of those bigger dreams.
It's like we're on this treadmill going nowhere fast.
Exactly. But the Zen Habits article reminds us that we have the power to carve out that space.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for 15 minutes a day.
Small, consistent actions can lead to big changes over time.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And the article also talks about the power of surrounding ourselves with the right people.
Oh, that's huge. The impact of community and support.
It's massive.
Yeah.
It's about finding those people who inspire us, who challenge us, who hold us accountable, and of course, who celebrate those wins with us.
Because success is sweeter when shared, right?
It really is.
Right?
That's a nice reminder that we're not meant to go through this journey alone.
So true. Speaking of support, the Health Direct article brings up something that I think is so crucial.
What's that?
The link between motivation and mental health.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The article acknowledges that if you're already struggling with mental health challenges like depression or anxiety, finding motivation can feel even harder.
That's like an extra hurdle.
It is. And that's why seeking support and professional help is so important in those situations.
Couldn't agree more. And the article offers some really helpful tips for managing those challenges. Things like practicing mindfulness and positive self-talk.
Those are such valuable tools to have in our mental health toolkit.
They are. And the article also highlights the importance of exercise.
Ah, yes, the endorphin boost tape. Exercise is not only good for our physical health, but it does wonders for our mental well-being too.
It's like a magic pill for the mind and body.
It is. It can reduce stress, lift our mood, increase our energy levels, all of which feed back into greater motivation.
It's like this amazing positive feedback loop.
Exactly. The more we move, the more motivated we feel, and then that motivation makes us want to move even more.
I love that. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy intense either.
Right. Even a short walk can make a difference.
Even a few minutes of getting your heart rate up can have a positive impact on your mindset. It's a great way to clear your head, get some fresh air, and boost those feel-good chemicals.
Right.
And, that reminds me of another key point that came up in one of the articles.
Oh, which one is that?
The Ask Why article. They put a lot of emphasis on the importance of finding our why, that deeper reason behind our goals and aspirations.
Ah, yes, the driving force behind our actions.
Exactly. And they use this powerful analogy to illustrate this.
Oh, I'm all ears. Tell me more.
They talk about this challenge that Marines go through called the crucible.
I've heard of that. They're pushed to their absolute physical and mental limits, right?
Exactly. And the article highlights that even in those extreme conditions, the thing that really helped them endure was connecting to a deeper why.
Their reason for being there, their purpose for pushing through the pain.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you realize how powerful that sense of purpose can be.
And I think that principle applies to all of us, whether we're facing a grueling physical challenge or just trying to navigate the ups and downs of daily life.
Absolutely. Knowing our why gives us that source of strength and motivation when things get tough. It's like having that inner compass guiding us through the storms.
I love that analogy, an inner compass, because sometimes it really does feel like we're lost at sea, tossed about by the waves of uncertainty.
But if we can connect to that deeper purpose, that sense of direction, we can weather any storm.
And that's where resilience comes in again, doesn't it?
It does. Resilience is that ability to bounce back from adversity, to keep going, even when we feel like giving up.
And it's something that we can cultivate and strengthen through facing challenges and finding our why.
Precisely. It's a process of growth and adaptation, a journey worth taking.
Because on the other side of those challenges lies a deeper sense of self-awareness, strength, and purpose.
And that's what makes it all worthwhile.
It really does. It's a reminder that even in the midst of hardship, there's always hope.
Always a reason to keep going.
Always a chance to emerge from the darkness stronger than before.
That's a powerful message to carry with us, listener, no matter what challenges you're facing.
It is. And it's a message that resonates throughout all these sources, even with their diverse perspectives. Ultimately, they're all pointing us towards the same truth.
And what truth is that?
That we have the power within us to overcome any obstacle, to achieve any goal, and to live a life that is truly meaningful and fulfilling.
That's a truth worth holding on to.
It is. And it's a truth that can set us free.
Free from the limitations we place on ourselves. Free from the fear that holds us back.
Free to live a life that is authentic, purposeful, and aligned with our deepest values.
And that's what motivation is all about, isn't it?
It is. It's the driving force that propels us toward our dreams.
And it's something we can cultivate and nurture within ourselves every single day.
As we continue to explore these sources, I'm curious to see what other insights emerge.
Me too. And I'm excited to see how these different perspectives can help us all find our own unique paths to motivation and resilience.
Because it's a journey we're all on together.
And it's a journey worth taking.
Absolutely. So let's keep exploring.
And keep those fires burning bright.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with even more on motivation and resilience.
All right, so we're back. And as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into motivation, one thing that really stands out to me is just how much emphasis all these sources place on the power of mindset.
Mindset, yeah. It's amazing how our mindset can either propel us forward or hold us back.
It really is. It's like this invisible force that shapes our entire experience.
It is. And this theme comes up in so many different ways throughout all the materials we've looked at.
It does. Like in the 41 Motivation Tips article, they talk about the importance of creating a positive environment.
Oh, yeah. Surrounding yourself with things that uplift and inspire you.
Exactly. Whether that's inspirational posters or upbeat music or even just decluttering our physical space.
It's about curating a space that supports our goals and aspirations. And it also extends to cultivating a mindset of gratitude.
Gratitude, that's a big one.
It is.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in what's going wrong or what we're lacking.
It is. We tend to focus on the negative.
We do. But intentionally taking time each day to appreciate the good things in our lives, no matter how small, can really shift our perspective.
It's like retraining our brains to see the good.
Exactly. And that shift in focus can have a huge impact on our mood and our motivation.
And the Zen Habits article takes this idea of mindset shifts a step further.
Oh, how so?
They encourage us to embrace our desires.
Embrace our desires.
Yeah, to really acknowledge and honor what we truly want rather than trying to suppress or ignore those desires.
Because let's be honest, sometimes we feel guilty or ashamed for wanting things.
We do. It's like we're not supposed to want too much.
Right. But the article reminds us that our desires are a natural part of who we are.
They are.
They're often pointing us towards something meaningful.
It's like giving ourselves permission to dream.
Exactly. And to pursue those dreams without judgment.
And to recognize that those desires are there for a reason.
They are. They're guiding us towards something important.
Now, another important mindset shift that several sources touch on is self-compassion.
Self-compassion.
Oh, that's a good one.
Being kind to ourselves, especially when we stumble or fall short.
It's so easy to become our own harshest critics. It is. But self-compassion is about treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a friend in need.
It's about recognizing that we're all human, we all make mistakes.
And those mistakes don't define us.
They don't. They're simply opportunities for growth and learning.
And sometimes self-compassion means allowing ourselves to rest and recharge.
Yes. It's not about pushing ourselves to the point of burnout.
Exactly. It's about finding a sustainable pace that allows us to thrive.
And to show up as our best selves.
Speaking of pushing ourselves, I think David Goggins and his message about mental toughness really fits into this conversation about mindset.
The mind as a weapon.
The mind as a weapon. He's basically saying that we have to train our minds to be strong just like we train our bodies.
And that mental strength is crucial for overcoming challenges and achieving our goals.
It is. One of his key suggestions for developing that mental toughness is embracing discomfort.
Oh yeah, pushing past our comfort zones.
Exactly, and developing a higher tolerance for pain and difficulty.
Because discomfort is where growth happens.
It is. It's where we learn and adapt and become more resilient. Now, Goggins' approach might not be for everyone.
Definitely not. It's pretty extreme.
It is. But his core message about mental toughness is something we can all apply in our own ways.
It's about cultivating a mindset that allows us to face challenges head on and keep moving forward even when things get tough.
And that's a powerful mindset to have.
It is. And, as we wrap up this deep dive into motivation, I'm struck by the sense of hope and possibility that comes through in all these different sources.
Me too. Despite acknowledging the challenges and struggles that we all face, there's this underlying belief in the human capacity for resilience and growth.
And this beautiful reminder that we're not alone in this journey.
We're all in this together.
We are facing our own unique challenges, but also supporting and inspiring each other along the way.
And as we leave this deep dive, I hope you feel a sense of empowerment, listener, a renewed belief in your own ability to overcome obstacles and achieve your dreams.
Because no matter what challenges you're facing, you have the strength within you to persevere.
You do. You have the power to choose motivation even in small ways.
And those small choices can lead to extraordinary outcomes.
They can. So keep exploring, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself.
Because you are capable of more than you think.
So much more. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep those fires burning bright.
We'll see you on the next deep dive, ready to explore new ideas and uncover hidden truths together.